Oh, Trampler building, Trampler building. This is the video everybody's been asking for. Sensei, I don't know how to build a Trampler. I don't know what I should be looking for in the tech tree. Well, you've come to the right place today. We're going to go over the Tier 1 tech tree, as well as some very simple blueprint designs that you can use in Tier 1 that you will immediately throw away after surviving a couple of expeditions and going straight into Tier 2 construction. But that's not what you came for today. You just want to know, what can I do to help survive in those first couple expeditions when I only have the crappy Tier 1 gear and unlocks? And we're going to be going over that today. Like and subscribe if you find this video useful. We'll do another video on Tier 2 in the coming days, but for now, let's get into Tier 1. We're going to start by going through each of the 3 vendors here and talking about what's useful and what's not. For Godalwig Skis, how do you say this? Godalwiskies expedition? I don't know. The blue guy. When it comes to the blue guy, there's really only 2 things in here that I would consider important, and that's the motor reactors right here and the small chassis. Are we going to use either of these unlocks later on when we're building a Trampler? No. Why are they useful then? Well, it's because you can unlock important things in Tier 2 with them. So they're not immediately important for Tier 1 unlocks, but if you're rushing the good stuff in Tier 2, those are going to be useful. I would probably unlock a couple of things in the other vendors first. The other 5 things here in blue are the stair unlocks, the 4-man crew room, and the energy rod shop and medkit shop purchasing. Energy rods, this is pretty useful, but probably not a necessary unlock until you're mostly done with Tier 2s. If you're finding that you run out of energy rods because you're not getting enough in raid, then maybe this is more useful to buy early on. Medkits you get very frequently from looting cities. I would not consider this a very important unlock early on. Alright, next up we have Kaiser's Friends. The only thing in here that is super important is the cargo deck that's framed. You're going to be using this in pretty much every single Trampler design you make for the foreseeable future. So, I would definitely get this. This small chassis here is only for unlocking the well versions of the middling chassis, which I personally have not been using. This is really up to you. If you like using the well chassis, then this is great. You're going to get some really nice chassis in Tier 2, but other than that, it's not particularly helpful. If you're getting out of a lot of expeditions, chances are you're not going to be needing these right away. You'll probably, in fact, be getting out with worn cannons and maybe even some pristine cannons, so I wouldn't necessarily say that these are immediately important to get out. On to KK Landwehr. In this one, we have a couple of things that we want to get. The first one is the corner artilleries and the framed artillery. We'll be using the framed artillery in our 6 crew design and our 3 crew design. It's not necessary for solo right away, but you're going to need to unlock it at some point anyways. It's a precursor to more important things later down the road. The framed steering is not super important, but is required for the steering in Tier 2, which is a very good unlock. And then the small armament workshop is very useful as well, because you can use it as either an airlock or a bullet sponge for your reactor, which is typically how I use it, but I have also seen a lot of people using it as an extra door to get through when entering their walker, so it's a little bit more difficult to break into. Wooden vestibule, not important unless you're using the well chassis. And as far as the shops go, I wouldn't say that these shop unlocks are critical. The smuggler's jacket can be useful, but you're going to be pulling out a lot of blue jackets and probably not need to buy these very often. Okay, so just as a quick recap, I would say the most important things to unlock in Tier 1 are cargo deck framed, artillery deck framed, and small armament workshop. If you have 3 things to try and work towards and that's it. In your first expedition, just try and unlock these few things. It's those 3 right there. Look at the tech tree, see what's coming up that you need to unlock things for. Like I said earlier, the reactors are very important to unlock, so you can get to tier 2 reactor. Small chassis, very important for getting the middling chassis, things like that. On to Trampler design. Am I the best Trampler designer? Absolutely not. Alright, if you've come for what is the absolute perfect meta build, I don't know if I can provide that to you, but I will do my best. I do know a couple of things about Trampler design. One is, this reactor is the most important thing. Placing this is key to survival. If you place it wrongly and just put it up in the sky where everyone can see it, it's going to explode. And then you're going to be dead. We don't like being dead. So, we need to protect this thing as much as possible. Oh, well, what about the 3x3 chassis? Right? And I unlocked this motor reactor that you said is terrible. Can't I just use this? Well, not really, because if you put it all the way in so that you can conceal the sides fully, like this, well, they can shoot straight through the middle and hit it anyways. So I don't like this personally. You can do something like this where you'll build under it. Actually, you can't even do what I just did there. That's terrible. Don't do that. You can do, just for the sake of demonstration, something like this, where you build out in front of it like that, and then put a captain's quarter or something else bulky in front. I've tried this a little bit in Raid with some designs. It's okay. I wouldn't recommend it. I would wait until you have the middling chassis to use this motor reactor. It can be good with that. Or you can just save up and get the tier 2 motor reactor and just completely skip these. In any case, this 3x3 is not super useful. It's not long enough to fully protect this reactor, and it's not wide enough to fully protect this reactor. So it's just kind of in this weird middle ground where I don't find it particularly useful. Unless, of course, you want to stick it off the end like this, which again, I wouldn't really recommend, because it's not going to be protected very nicely. So, what are we going to do instead? I'm going to use this chassis, the one that we start with. They both have the same weight limit, which is 20,000, and that is not a lot. We're going to have a hard time making a 6-screw walker like this, but we're going to try our best. Alright, so here we have an example walker design for a 6-man. As you can see, the reactor is fully hidden behind the back here. We're underweight. We're 1100 underweight right now. What is good about this design? Pretty much nothing other than the fact that the motor reactor is fully protected. We also have this airlock. We're using the workbench as an airlock for our crew cabin, or for our captain's cabin rather, which is very nice. If we look down at the first floor, you'll see that we have 2 crew cabins protecting the reactor, as well as 2 artillery decks. And then up on the next floor, we have our other 3 artillery decks, our helm, our captain's quarters, and the single that we need for our 6th man. We also have a little bit of storage going on up at the top. This is not really ideal. It's kind of clunky to get into this storage, right? We have to go in this door, up this ladder to get to one of them, and then we have to go up another ladder to get to the other 2. It's not the end of the world, though. I don't love how these are kind of exposed up here. If you're trying to extract and somebody shoots and blows these up, now you're trying to repair them and put things back on while you're fighting them off during the extraction. It can get messy. It's not the end of the world when you're limited on space and you're only going to be using it for a couple of expeditions. The chances of this biting you in the ass is unlikely, but it's a concern. I will say, though, it is kind of nice for looting. You can come up this ladder, up the other ladder, drop off the box, jump right off, and you're back to wherever you were that you were looting if you place your Trampler correctly. This is kind of one design that you can use for a 6 crew. I'll show you another one now as well. Alright, so here's another design for a 6-man walker in Tier 1. I've moved around the cargo decks a little bit and kind of reorganized things on the first floor. So if we look at the first floor here, instead of having our artillery decks on the bottom deck, we have moved them up and have one up on the third deck now with the helm. We have our two-man bunk rooms out in front absorbing bullets, and then behind them we have 2 framed cargo decks instead of the top deck ones that we had earlier. Now these aren't going to provide much protection for the reactor, but we're still going to get a lot of protection from these crew cabins, so I think it's a healthy balance of being able to loot quickly and also having some semi-protected cargo decks for when you're extracting. You don't want those getting blown up, like I said earlier. Onto the second deck, we still have our airlock with the workbench into the captain's quarters. It's very important for protecting our captain's quarter. We have our 6th crew compartment. We have 4 of our 5 artillery cannons, and then on the last floor we have our last artillery cannon, our helm, and an extra storage compartment. This is 700 weight underweight, which is not a lot. We only have a maneuverability of 3, but like I said earlier, you're going to be very hard pressed to find a design that is not going to be very close to the weight limit for a 6 crew on these Tier 1 chassis. That's pretty much the best you're going to be able to do. Alright, now as far as going in as a solo is concerned, I would just use this design, honestly. Up on the bottom deck, we have a little gun deck in the front to save weight, so we have a little bit more maneuverability, which is very important when you're a solo. You don't want to be getting into sticky situations. You have 1 crew room on the bottom deck, not required as a solo, but is good as a damage sponge for your reactor. We still have those 2 framed cargo decks in the back for quick looting. And then up on the top, we have our airlock with the workbench into our crew cabin again on top, so that's helping protect our reactor as well. We have 1 artillery deck for us to shoot. We have 1 steering wheel for us to turn. We have an extra cargo up here. Very simple design. Very cheap. Alright, as far as making this thing a 3-man crew, well, we already had enough crew cabins, so all we did was just add turret decks to the previous design. It's really that simple. There are some caveats to this design that I have somewhat glossed over. For example, there is no way to fire back in any of the designs I've shown you. That is a personal preference. I don't really see the need in it. If I am shooting backwards, that means they can hit my reactor, which is not a good thing. I would rather be facing forwards and having the reactor protected. Even if I am in need of a retreat, sometimes the best defense is a good offense. You can play around with it. That's a personal preference thing. By no means is what I'm saying the law. It's just what's worked for me and my crews when we've been going into expeditions. So, alright, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you found this useful. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe to be notified when the Tier 2 video comes out. Again, probably a week or so until that one comes out. But you want to be notified when it comes out, so make sure you subscribe. And with that, I'll see you all in the dunes.